All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Um, First of all, my headphones died right before this meeting, unfortunately. So if any of you have trouble hearing me or you hear background noise, I apologize and let me know in the chat so I can try to adjust my volume. Um, First of all, Happy New Year and welcome to the first AOT Learning Network web chat of the year and the first AOT Learning Network web chat ever, specifically for peer support specialists. Thank you all for joining. My name is Brooke Gentry and I work as the AOT Implementation Manager on Treatment Advocacy Center's AOT implementation team. So we're going to start with some introductions, beginning with the TAC team, and then going in the order of how I see your squares. And after that, we're going to hear from David Rose, who is a peer educator at the Harris Center in Houston, Texas, discuss his role in AOT. And I'll put this in the chat, but for introductions, please share your name, where you're joining us from, your role, and why you joined today. And I think we may have said this in the marketing for this chat, but the chat is open to all, including peers who do not currently work in AOT programs, but are interested in learning more and building community. And so in that same spirit of building community, we would really appreciate seeing all your faces if you're able to go camera on. Okay, so I am going to hand it off to Amy Lutz on the TAC team to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Lukes. I am the Director of AOT Implementation here at Treatment Advocacy Center. And I'm so fired up about this web chat and can't wait to hear more about your works. It's so important to AOT. So,
Thanks, Amy. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Hyatt, and I am the Senior AOT Legislative and Policy Counsel on the AOT implementation team. I'm the attorney on the AOT implementation team. Thanks a lot for joining us today. We're really glad you're here.
Jared?
Jared Wyma Bradley. I'm our senior AOT advisor. I joined TAC last May, and before that, I was working at a state psychiatric hospital in Virginia. I worked in spiritual care, and my work there at the hospital, my closest colleague at the hospital was our peer specialist, and so I'm really excited to hear what you all have to say about your work.
Thank you, Jared. Shanti?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shanti. I'm our research advisor on the team. I also have lived experience with depression and very, very grateful for the role of peers. So thank you all so much for joining us today.
All right. So that is it for the TAC team. David, I'm going to come back to you. First on my screen is Nicholas.
Hey, good day, everybody. I am Nick Garrels, certified peer support over at Turning Point in Providence Center. It's in Nevada County, California. We're an FSP, and we get to work with all the AOT referrals in the county. So that's what I'm doing here. Lived experience with mental health challenges and substance use challenges, and lived experience in recovery. So grateful to be here.
Amazing. Thank you for joining, Nicholas. Margie?
Hi, I'm a president of a local affiliate of NAMI, and I run a caregiver support. And I just felt as though maybe this would help me with that end of it for the caregivers of someone with a mental illness through NAMI is really my title. It's all volunteer, so I am a volunteer for it.
Thank you, Margie. Glad to have you. Gary Davidson. We will come back to Gary. Patty? Oh, Gary, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just thankful to be a peer support counselor helping out AOT, and it's a good experience. Thank you.
Where are you from, Gary?
Huh?
Where are you from?
Grass Valley?
All right.
All right. Patty?
Patty Christensen. I am the AOT Peer Support Certified Specialist in Iowa City, Iowa. It's the first AOT program in the state. We started through a grant. We're on our second year. I'm basically joining to get as much knowledge from all of you who have more experience than I do and find out troubleshooting things and things like that. So I'm open to any kind of suggestions and information you can give me.
Thank you, Patty. Lori?
Hello, I'm Lori Hancock-Muck. I'm also in Iowa working at the judicial branch and am recently hired in this position as the statewide behavioral health manager. So learning more about AOT in the state of Iowa and specifically how peer support specialists play that vital role in that system.
That's great. Thank you, Lori. Denise?
Hey everybody, my name is Denise Coloma. I'm a certified peer specialist and a family mentor at NAMI Miami-Dade.
Great to have you, Denise.
Thank you.
Myrna?
Hello, my name is Myrna Corridor. I am out of Dauphin County Mental Health here in Harrisburg, PA. I am the program specialist too here, supervising the residential side as well as the AOT coordinator. We're excited because we just recently opted in for the AOT, and we have a few candidates that we are currently ready to go to hearings for, and we're expecting, maybe bumps on the road, but we are hoping for full success and to have the ability to better serve the citizens here of Dauphin County. Personally, I have a loved one battling mental health, and that is my life experience, and it is what coerced me to get my doctorate in education, and that was my dissertation and my book from my loved one and his life experience with mental health. So happy to be here and looking forward to helping many with this battle.
Thank you, Myrna, and thank you for sharing. Tracy Jacobson?
Hi, my name is Tracy Jacobson. I'm with NAMI Lexington in Kentucky, and I am the coordinator of family programs. So I hear a lot from family members who feel powerless when their family member is not aware of their illness. So our state hospital in NAMI Lexington is Eastern State Hospital. They are implementing the AOT, but it's not really being implemented from our community yet. So I'm here to learn as much as I can to pass information along to the families I work with.
That's great. Thank you, Tracy. Esteban?
Hey, I'm Esteban Delgado. I work for AOT as a peer support specialist over here in Laredo, Texas, right down on the border. We're still roughly new. We're about in our third year now going. Awesome with our participants here within our program. And basically, I just want to learn a little bit more because my biggest thing right now is helping out the caseworkers with anything outside of AOT. And the biggest thing I like to do is outreach and letting the community know more about mental health and also with what AOT is, because there's a lot of people out there that don't know this kind of program exists. So it's a lot of fun to get out there and show them about this.
That's great, Esteban. Thank you for joining. All right. Sorry, I moved to my second screen. Jonathan?
Hello, I'm here in Nevada County, California with Turning Point Community Programs. I supervise or help to supervise our peer team here in our organization.
That's great, Jonathan, and exciting that you guys have a whole peer team.
It's growing.
Awesome. Jeanette?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeanette Toledo. I am here in New York City. I have several peer specialist titles: certified peer specialist, certified recovery peer advocate, peer navigator, court navigator. Now I'm getting into the community health worker. Basically, I continue learning for different communities here in New York City with mental health, substance use, incarceration, and so on. I'm here to just continue learning about all different fields, how I can help within all these different fields and spread it along amongst the communities that I work with. Thank you.
Thank you,
Jeanette,
Jeanette.
do you work with any AOT participants?
Well, a lot of the things I do is it's volunteer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not with a certain organization. Whenever I'm needed, different company agencies contact me, and I just volunteer. During the quarantine, I was the executive chair for the New York City Peer Workforce Coalition, in which I created support circles via Zoom. I was also part of the development of the New York City Justice Peer Initiative. So yeah, part of NAMI here in New York City as well. So, I'm part of a lot of things, Oasis. So I spread myself all over.
Good. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, Tracy. Sorry,
Hi,
Tracy Jacobson, the other Tracy.
I'm Tracy Windsor. I'm in Vancouver, BC, and I'm involved in peer support in a bunch of different places, and also a social worker with lived experience with an assertive community treatment team in Vancouver. But I'm really interested in learning all about peer support and different communities of practice and stuff. So even though I'm not in the US and directly working in AOT, I hope it's okay that I'm here. I'm also interested in like implementation and stuff. Like we're growing our peer support implementation and early psychosis programs. So I'm just a total peer support nerd. So any chance to get into peer support conversations, I'm all about that.
How did you hear about this?
I have a contact who forwarded it to me. So I don't know how she heard about it, but she's like, hey, you might want to go to this. I was like, okay.
Well, glad to have you. You are our first non-American participant.
Nice. Thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks for welcoming me.
All right, did I miss anybody? Okay, doesn't look like it. Well, I am going to hand it off to David Rose to talk a little bit about his role as a peer educator at the Harris Center and working with AOT participants. David, the floor is yours.
Great. My name is David Rose. I work with the Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD in Houston, Texas. I've been working as a peer navigator, peer specialist, peer educator. This is going on my 11th year. In order to understand why I got into this and what I do, I have to give you a snippet of my background. And that is that I call myself a product of the Harris Center. I have a background, I have a background in substance abuse and depression. And let's see. In the very beginning, I made a 911 call, okay? And I was taken to a place called the Neuropsychiatric Center in Houston, Texas. From there, I went to a place called HCPC, which is Harris County Psychiatric Center. It is there that at some point I started getting services from the Harris Center. At that point, it was called MHMRA. From there, I went to a place called Bernard Street, which was a place that you could stay for 30 days, once in a lifetime, and you could get some of the agencies that were in town. They would take you around to some of these agencies. Now, the AOT does a lot of that for you now. Okay, but at that point, there wasn't affiliated. There wasn't an AOT program at that point. From there, I went to a rehab center in Dickinson, Texas for 72 days. And then I went to a personal care home for 2.5 years. And while I was in the personal care home, I was receiving all the services from the Harris Center. And I decided that all the things that I had went through, I thought there was some validity in that. And I said, I'm sure there are agencies that could benefit from that. And while I was going through some of this, there was a peer navigator at a place called Bernard Street. And I have to say, she was like the weirdest lady I ever met in the very beginning. She would come out, she was so sicky sweet, it was like you were walking in molasses, okay? She'd come up to you and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's your day? And I just kept looking at her and I go, nobody's that nice, okay? And finally I asked her, what do you do? And she told me that she was a peer specialist. And I said, no, she said it was a peer navigator. And I said, what is that? And she explained to me somebody with lived experiences. And she goes, where are you going to go from after this? And I said, well, I'm going to go to treatment center. She said, I went to a treatment center. I said, no, I have a chemical dependency. I have a drug problem. She said, I had a drug problem. And she went and explained to me what I could expect as I was going forward, okay, and made it a little less ominous as I was going there, okay. And from that, she planted a seed, okay. It took me, when I was in personal care home, it took me 1.5 years to get into the Harris Center, okay. I kept applying and get denied. I kept applying and saying you can't do this because of this. I kept applying and you don't meet this. I kept applying and there was people that say you don't have enough experience, or there is somebody that is a lot, that has more experience than you, and I can accept that. And then finally, I applied to one of them, and she said to me, "You're exactly what we're looking for." And that was what's it called? Jail diversion program. I'm sorry. It was a jail diversion programs. And at that point, actually, I got into some difficulties in the beginning, but I got into jail diversion, got into the Harris Center, and started working with people in jail. And then from there, it kind of morphed into Judge Emmett's jail diversion program. The first jail diversion program was a $10 million pilot program. The second one was Judge Emmett, who was mayor at the time, jail diversion program. Now, I think that was a $4 or $5 million program. And then I went into AOT. And when they told me that I was going into AOT, I asked them, what is that? They said, oh, it's just like you're doing now. Okay. And that's what it was told to me, just like you're doing now. And when I went into AOT, the first 2 weeks I was there, the first week, after the first week, I was ready to leave. Be honest with you. I said, oh no, this is not what I expected. I was not ready for the clientele that I was being exposed to. I had never had that type of clientele. I had never been people that had those types of level of care. I wasn't well versed in that at all. I was used to going into and seeing the jails. I was used to going in and seeing manipulative people. Of course, there are manipulative people where I'm at now, but I just wasn't ready for it. There was another peer that started with me, and I don't think she made it a week before she said, no, I'm not going to do it. And for the first 2 weeks, I thought to myself, I think this isn't for me. And then I finally had a good talk with myself and said, look, you're either going to get off the mirror or go and flip the switch, one or the other. And if you flip the switch, you're going to learn everything you can about it and you're going to stay. And that's what I did. So here I am in AOT dealing with some of the most unique, most difficult at times, most challenging consumers that we have. Okay. And I've learned a lot. And I walk a very tight line. I say this in the very beginning. I am not clinical. That's what I tell all the people that I come in contact with. I am not clinical, but I'm on the razor's edge of it on AOT. Okay, because you have to be in staffing. You have to hear the doctors. You can't help but learn. Okay, there's no way you can't help it but learn some clinical. And so it's a tight line that I walk. The most important thing that I like to do when I talk to people is I like to be authentic. I tell them where I came from, okay, what happened to me, how I got here, who I am, and most important of all, I tell them, you know what my job is? My job is to advocate for you.
Good, how you doing?
Oops.
Gary.
Go ahead.
Apologize.
Am I still on?
You're on.
Okay, so like I said, the most important thing is I try to be authentic, and then I tell them that my sole job is to advocate for you. I said, unless there's two things that happen, if you're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else, okay, I'm going to pick up the phone. Other than that, okay, my job is solely to advocate for you, and that's what I do. I try to do. Now, you got to form partnerships. You got to give support. You got to promote recovery. You've got to have hope. You've got to have empowerment. There's all kind of things that you have to do, but you have to be authentic, because people that are not authentic that I have found out, our consumers can see right through that in a heartbeat. And then you have to want to be authentic. Excuse me if you hear my cat in the background. Like I said, I've been, I guess, with AOT since almost the beginning. I guess I'm going on my 5th year with them, and I guess it's my 11th year with the agency. So, what else can I tell you? What else would you like to know?
Well, I wonder if we should open it up to the group, if anyone has any questions for David or reactions to some of the things he heard. And thank you so much, David, for sharing.
You can go on and on and on and on and on what peers do, but I'm assuming everybody has their, the code of ethics and things like that and everything else. Okay. So we go past that. Okay. Got any questions? Fire away. None? Okay. None at all? Oh, this is easy.
Well, I'll start
Okay,
because
go
I
ahead.
am new to all this. So I will just ask, what do you see as the biggest barrier? What's the most difficult part of being the peer support specialist for AOT?
In the beginning, the biggest part was, for me, it was not knowing what I didn't understand schizophrenia. I didn't understand bipolar. I didn't understand a lot of it. So for me, when I was interacting with them, I was, it was different. Okay. I was at a loss. I had to go talk to people. I had to say, wait a minute, this is happening. Okay. So in the beginning, it was, I told myself, like I said, I'm either going to flip the switch and learn as much as I can. Okay. Or I'm going to get off the merry-go-round, because it's not for everybody. This AOT program that I am in is not for everybody. And I tell coaches that, and that, I don't mean that derogatory. It's just not for everybody. All right. I don't think I do anything else at this point. Okay. I really don't, because I've gotten good at it. I feel that I've gotten good at it, and there's value in what I bring to them. And I have seen, the longer you stay in, the longer you help people, the more you help people, the more you see them flourish. And that, okay, is why I do the whole thing. Okay, and let me tell you something. I have an extensive drug background. Okay, I'm not going to go into, but the best high I ever have in the world here is when you see somebody, when the light comes on and their life goes forward. Okay, when they come out of the hospital, you work with them for a while, all of a sudden you see them go back into society, get a job, start going forward, get the things they want in their life. There's no better high than that in the world. And that's why I do it. You're gonna, in the very beginning, you're gonna go through some changes. Okay, you're gonna go through some learning curves. You're gonna have some ups. You're gonna have some downs. You're gonna think that you're not doing something right. Okay, And you know what I say to you? Stick with it. You'll figure it out. Okay. Eventually, you start figuring it out. It takes a minute, especially if you're dealing with the mental health part of it. Does that help?
Yeah, and I was just thinking while you were talking, David, that part of the reason why we really wanted to organize this chat too is that it seems like there are a lot of peers out there with lived experience in the realm of substance use and also mental illness, but not necessarily severe mental illness. And so I think what you've spoken to in terms of the learning curve is something that, others might relate to, but also that we want to actively work towards improving, creating a
Understanding it.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had dual the diagnosis. Okay. I had chronic major depression and then, with substance abuse. Okay. I was chronically depressed. Okay. I was suicidal and okay. It was bad, but I like to look at myself now and what I do. I say, I'm the evidence. Okay. When I tell other peers, if you don't think you're doing right or anything else, I actually I actually do a crisis line deal. Okay. One of the things that I do as a peer is I give a presentation to our crisis line. I do it like every month or every time they have hiring of what it's like to be on the other end of a 911 call. Okay. What it's like to, what a person feels like who's actually making that 911 call. And what I try to instill them, and it's absolute truth, that person that had a sincere presence of caring and understanding, and that's it, had a sincere presence of caring and understanding for me on the phone, okay, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. And then I go through everything that has happened since and all the people that I have helped, and in turn, all the people that they have helped, all because of that one phone call. So when I say to be authentic and have a sincere presence of caring and understanding, okay, that'll take you miles to be miles and miles in the peer services.
Thank you. I think Jeanette has her hand raised. Jeanette, you want to go ahead?
Yes. What I want to address is the lack of understanding, the stigma, people stigmatizing, um, the lack of cultural competency, the being misdiagnosed. Because in my case, I'm talking about my own self. I was misdiagnosed with several mental illnesses due to my cultural and religious belief. And medications caused me to have seizures. I was considered non-compliant. I was forced to take medications. I was constantly making me sick. And because now I have a mental illness, even though they were misdiagnoses, no one believed me. Doctors didn't believe me. Um, Social workers didn't believe me. Therapists didn't believe me. And all I kept going was my health was deteriorating. My mental status was deteriorating. And it took me many, many years of self-advocacy before it was finally accepted that I was misdiagnosed. Many minorities, Black American and Latinos, the minute they go into a psychiatric office, even before they open their mouth, they're already diagnosed with bipolar and schizoaffective disorder, schizophrenia. And that's not good.
No, it isn't. Not at all.
And this is why I kind of have an issue on this type of treatment, because you have to see a court. So now if you're misdiagnosed and you're being forced by due to a judge's decision that you have to take these meds, and they're misdiagnoses and these meds are making you sick to the point that you get the seizures. I was getting the grand miles. It's not fair. So I feel that there has to be more studies on cultural competency. They need to understand more different cultures. They have to understand more people's religious belief systems more before it even gets to the point that you're being forced to take medications and you're physically, things are happening. Mentally, things are happening. I went from a whole 360. I was sleepwalking. I was literally getting dressed and opening the door and walking outside. Didn't even know that I was doing that because the psychiatric medication was causing me to do that.
So,
right.
To answer some of that or to put something onto that, okay, I can't imagine what you've been going through on that, okay? What I can say is that when I might ask somebody, I'll say, what's your diagnosis? Okay, and they'll tell me. And you know what I say to them? I said, what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean to you? Okay, if somebody says, oh, I'm schizoaffective, I go, what does that mean? I'm going, what do you mean? I said, well, what does it mean to you? And then I let them tell me, okay, what it means to them. Okay, how they view it. All right. I ask them, do you feel you do better? I ask them, are you taking medication? Okay, they say yes. I ask them 2 questions. Okay, do you do better on it or off of it? Okay, if they tell me they do better on it, I say, I probably would stay on it. That that's if you do better off of it, then we need to have a talk with the doctor. Okay, you need to have a talk to a doctor. What's happening? What are the side effects that you're having and that? Okay, again, you got to be authentic with them. I am not clinical. Okay, there isn't anything that I really can't talk about to them. Okay, that the state says I really can't talk about to them. Okay, which I like that. I know that it's part of being authentic, and it's part of asking people, how do you feel about this? What is happening with you? I've sat down with people and I've looked at them and I said, wow, you have some tremors. And they said, yeah, I do. I got tremors. And they might sit in my truck. Okay. And they come and get in my truck. I might be taking them somewhere. And all of a sudden, you see that, they have tremors and they say, it's my medication. I'll say, you talk to the doctor about it yet? No, I haven't. Geez, wow, you need to do that. Okay. We need to talk to your care coordinator about it. We need to talk to the doctor. The one thing that I do like is that I'm in the staffing part of it. Okay. Now they have a peer educator in the actual staffing that happens 3-4 times a week. So I get to, I get to advocate and I get to say, what I see. And what I like about it is the psychiatrists that we have. Okay. There's value in what I say and they understand it. They do understand it. And so it takes an entire team to really work an AOT deal.
Yeah, I'd like to get some of the other peers who are working in AOT programs, get their perspectives.
Sure. I'm off the hook.
You're off the hook, David.
Yeah, and I think this is a good opportunity to ask too, in light of your points, Jeanette. And first of all, I'm so sorry that you went through that. And I think cultural competency is something really important and something lacking in the space that needs constant improvement. Is kind of for those peers on the call, how do you explain the benefits of court-mandated treatment to participants that are skeptical? How do you kind of set the stage for AOT, and how do you have those conversations with people who are perhaps, less than pleased at being placed on a court order?
Black robe effect.
Black robe effect. That's good. Patty, what about you? Oh, you're muted.
Since we work with jail diversion too quite a bit, and so we get a lot of skepticism with just saying court, even civil court and things. So sometimes we approach it in a more gentler area of, we're advocates for you. It's kind of their time to say what's going well, what isn't going well. Our judicial referee does not wear a robe. They have me placed somewhere near the participant at the time, because I actually do I'm out in the community a lot with them, at least once a week, probably, socializing, getting them out of whether it be a HAB home or a residential care facility or something. And so I am the one who mainly builds the rapport and the trust with each of the participants. And so they think with me physically being close to them, they'll be more comfortable, more willing to disclose things, and open up more. Our court seems to go quite well. Our participants don't seem to mind it so much. More, I think their main issue is the stigma of the committal. That really, I mean, even some of them are like, I don't even know why I'm on a committal. I don't know when I got, things like that. So I think that's more the stumbling block for us here in Iowa City, is that stigma of the labeling, that's a requirement. But other than that, I think our court actually goes quite well.
Thank you. Others? Esteban, is that something you all encounter in Laredo where where there's kind of stigma around the court order?
Yeah, we supposed to say we've been blessed to have good referrals coming from the community because our director that oversees the program is pretty good at making our connections and keeping good connections with them. And we do get a lot of referrals, but a lot of them, like anything, we can get 30 referrals and only two will actually show up to the courts. And so I do help out a little bit with our court liaison along with my director to try to see if we can contact them and try to talk to them before they actually are told, hey, you got to go to court. So trying to make it an easy transition for them. Most of the time it does work. Like there's some months that we do get a good amount of participants coming in, but there are some months, like this past month, we got one. So it's a hit and miss, but I think it does help, like more than anything, because the stigma, especially down here, we're more Hispanic than anything. Where we're at down in the border, everyone says I'm not crazy, no estoy loco, I'm all good. They say, oh, I'm gonna be tough about it. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like, so that's where we try to step in and try to help as much as possible to try to show them and tell them, hey, you know what? It's not like that. This is what we want to do for you. This is what we're trying to help you out with. Again, it's not a forced base situation. We want you to feel comfortable coming in. And we even had some of them say, you know what, go to the court, listen to the judge. It's the same thing. Also, our judge doesn't wear a robe. He's in casual clothing. They sit down at a table. It's nice and easy for them so they don't feel overwhelmed that it's like, oh, it's a court system, like there's a judge on top. It's nice and easy for them. And from there, we will, or my director more talks to them and lets them know, hey, this is what we're here for. This is what we're going to try to do for you. Everything's all here. You don't have to go back and forth. It's all good. Just to reassure them again. And that's what we do, especially when they come in the first time into our office for our wraparound. We again reiterate everything's going on. Only a few of us are there, so they don't feel overwhelmed. And then the case worker will go ahead and give them a little bit more explanation. And usually by then they're pretty good when they come in here. But it's just like baby steps, obviously baby steps, making sure everyone goes nice and easy. But we do have a lot of, unfortunately, stigma down here with the mental health, especially again, like I said, since we're in the border area, it's kind of tough for the Hispanic community to oversee that it's not a bad thing. It's something we're here to help with.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think to me that maybe just goes back to the importance of cultural competency and understanding where people are coming from and um, how they have historically interacted with mental illness in their communities. So um, other peers who work in AOT, Nicholas, can you go ahead?
Yeah, our other peer Gary's having some technical issues, but he has. I've learned pretty much everything that I know about AOT from him. He was in the program, completed, is out, and really is a cheerleader for how effective and how it works. Before I even went in, I was role playing with him just about scenarios that might come up. If I'm somebody who wants to run or I don't think it'd be it. And, you'd always impress upon me how they're willing to work with you. No matter what's going on, you go in there and the judge and all the people are there to work with you. It's not forced ongoing treatment, it's assertive, so all the participants are creating their own plans, and then they're just being held to account to follow them. And if they're not, they get to come up with a new plan, and working with the participants to get them to where they want to go, the self-directed, striving to reach their full potential. And that it's also not a criminal court. No one's throwing you in jail for showing up. This ain't like the other times. It's like you being here means that you're walking home. You're leaving today, and they're there to listen to you. There's like, and that's just what he's really impressed upon me. And that, I've been able to, and I've watched him just be able to use his own experience and just lay down, like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think this was a good thing, and, it's, we have like a little team, peers, that goes over to the courthouse, when they do AOT on Mondays, and, had an idea to make AOT sweatshirts, like to show some pride for what they're doing for themselves. So it really is, especially with all the support, and we're an FSP over here, so if they're part of the job is to pass things out when they're beyond my scope of competency. And the great part about here is there's the whole team's here, and like Mike was saying, issues with medication, let's go talk to the doctor. Issues with getting around to do the thing, let's talk to the case manager. We just all get to come together as a team to support each participant in taking these steps. Eventually, hope we get to a place where they're doing it on their own completely, but just to have, what I mean, there's a net and no one's falling through the net, and that it really is your plan. And that's what I found to be most helpful anyhow.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, and cheers, Gary, to graduating from AOT and then becoming a peer in AOT. That's really, really amazing. I think the point you made, Nicholas, about involving, obviously involving the individual in their own treatment plan and having them make that plan, with their goals in mind, and focus on that person-centered care that way is hugely important. So do others have anything they want to say about at least this question of kind of the benefits of court mandated treatments to those who are skeptical?
One thing I'd like to say is also it depends on the judge. Okay. It depends on how the judge acts. It depends, we have Judge Parsons. She's very, very good, and she's very, very easy to get along with. So it takes some of the, the apprehension out of it for the first time when she meets. That's all.
Definitely. Our hope is that that all judges can be as empathetic and thoughtful and caring as Judge Parsons and other judges we know that do this work, but sometimes that's not always the case. And I think that it just underscores how important peers are too in being that support for the participant. So I'm curious what motivated folks to work as a peer in AOT or otherwise. And if you haven't said anything and would like to contribute to the discussion, we would love to hear from you. So
I just want to add on what David mentioned a word, and so did Patty. So David mentioned the word value, and Patty mentioned the word trust. I currently sit in mental health court as the county's representative as well. And I think those two words cannot be exercised enough because individuals coming into any particular program need to understand the value of what is being said for many of them by those that represent them, and also the building of trust within everyone in the team. When I first came back into the court, I came from a law enforcement background after almost 30 years with the city of Philadelphia and dealing with highly mentally ill individuals in the community. Also, Jeanette mentioned about the cultural differences. And I would have to say that in my case, as a Latino female, I would have to advocate, and it's currently what I do advocate for in many of the presentations that I do. Because in the Latino community, when you talk about mental health, you are talking about voodoo. It's a topic that is not spoken of much. It's a topic that many are in denial and don't want to accept. And it's a very judgmental topic. So I think that those two words, the value given to one's words expressed or said, whether through them or via someone else as their advocate, and building the trust. I do CIT training and do the trainer, and I can tell you that time is on your side. There's no reason to rush. Give it all the time that you can. Listen to them, because sometimes listening to one and what they want to say and are expressing is going to be crucial to the outcome of that particular situation at that point in time.
Definitely. And, we talk about reducing stigma. I think one of the biggest things is just the fact that peers exist and are open and about their own experience with mental health or substance use and are just able to talk about that is something that people can look to and realize, hey, it is okay. And that's really powerful. Jared, I think you mentioned in your introduction that when you were working in the hospital, the person you were closest with was the peer specialist. Was there anything in particular that you noticed they did in their work that really made an impact on you?
I think one of the things that you often see with peers is the one is kind of not having an agenda when working with somebody, that the person you work with, the person you serve, they get to set the agenda of what's important to them, of what their challenges are, of what they want to accomplish. Whereas, whether it's a hospital or a crisis services center, AOT program, those places have their own agendas, and um, it's the peer can often serve as somebody who comes in and says, you tell me, right, what's important to you, and let me partner with you. It's much more, there's much more of a mutuality to that relationship, right? That I'm not above you. I don't have any power over you or control. I'm just here to come alongside you and work with you. And the other thing that I often saw was just a lack of just an openness to what helping looked like, that helping could be a lot of different things. It could be getting somebody a pair of reading glasses. It could be helping connect them with a pen pal from a group of people who are, that has gone through something similar to them, or, a pair of socks that are grippy on the bottom so that they don't slip on the floors of the place that they're staying. Just that helping looks like so many different things. And it's great to have somebody on a team who, is really open to not saying that's not my job, or that's beyond my scope, or, like that when somebody comes to you with a problem, that you're there to try to solve that and help them and join them in fixing that, whatever it is. And there's no task too small or too unimportant. Because for all you know, like this is what's going to get them through that day. And that's really important. That's really valuable. So I really loved working with peers, and I just want to reiterate the value that you all bring to the programs that you're a part of and the people that you're serving. Because sometimes you'll be the only one who's willing and able to do some of those things. So I just appreciate your service.
Thank you, Jared. Well, I want to give a chance for, I know we've got a number of peers on here, and we've also got folks in different roles who are here to learn more. For those of you who are not working as peers, do you have questions for the peers on the call?
I don't know if I have any specific questions, but I know that Nick is always really a great resource for me when I just don't quite understand certain aspects. I don't necessarily feel like I have the experience that most peers that I've worked with have experienced, whether it's through addiction or homelessness or the various different things that uh, peers have gone through. So I do kind of rely on like, what is this like? I actually need advice from you on how to approach this situation from a peer perspective. And so I try to be as open as I can in understanding and learning as I'm trying to supervise a team at the same time.
Thank you, Jonathan. That makes a lot of sense.
I'd like to say one other thing. Okay, just one more thing. There's a lot of times that I find myself with consumers that I can't help. Okay, because of the level of care is so high, I can't help them. Okay, there's not really too much I can do. And at that point, what I try to do is help the care coordinator. If I can help the care coordinator transport that somebody, if I can drop something off to them, okay, if I can take some of the ease off the care coordinator or, supervisor or whatever it is, okay, to help, then I'll help, okay. And that's the way I also feel when I actually don't think I can help that particular person. And that's all.
Thank you, David. That's so just a reminder to everyone that peers are here to support the participants, the clients, but also the rest of the team as well. That's a really good point.
Too. So as a peer support specialist, so your own self-care, where do you turn? Who do you have for mentors? Who do you go to when you need that additional support, especially for those cases that might be a little tougher, might be a little triggering? How do you self-care?
Oh, the joys of self-care. Well, I mean, to keep my cup full, I do outside recovery meetings. I have a, mentor sponsor in that regard as well. Do a lot of work in the community. So for me, it's a lot of physical exercise, move muscle, change of thought, meditation, going to meetings, talking about my problems openly, not keeping anything in. The great thing about where I work is that we sort of have this, it's like a supportive environment. Like I was in a place before I came here to where I felt like the only thing I could talk about was recovery, and to get a job at a place where that's all I have to talk about is pretty awesome. So it's, the same self-care things that, just about anybody else would do. We just find what works for us. And the main thing is keeping on it, being mindful of when I'm getting a little intolerant, getting a little judgy, losing patience. Maybe I'm quicker to anger. Being mindful of my own mental and emotional state so that I know that I'm on the beam when I'm working with a client instead of trying to catch my own balance, and just to, the best part is as the presenter, David, I called him Mike before, I apologize for that, was saying is that we get to just show up and be ourselves, so at the end of the day, like I know what worked for me, but I know that I'm not the expert on what can work for you. So try not to take any of that home with me, and realizing that I can do my best, and you know and that's it. We try to show up and meet everybody halfway, but yeah, just try not to just keep in mind out for secondhand trauma, compassion fatigue, things like that, and just making sure that I'm showing up, that I am showing up as me. And if I'm not, then, maybe I got to take a couple days off. Maybe I got to find the thing. But yeah, for me, it's just being mindful of my, mental and emotional state.
Thank you, Nicholas. I think that also brings up a good point of how important it is to have a supportive work environment. That if you really want to, I think, utilize peers to the greatest level, that it needs to be a good space for them as well. So others have comments on Lori's self-care question?
Hey, like in our office, just like Nicholas said, a team is the best way. So luckily here in our office, each one keeps each other in check. So if we see that energy is moving, feels funky, we keep each other in check on that part. But we also implemented also a calming room here within our office for the participants, but also for us. So if we do see, what, you're feeling down, you're feeling stressed, you can go to the calming room. The director already knows, hey, you're in there, you go for it. We have coloring books in there. We have a noise machine. We have a bubbler. We have an interactive wall. Like it's meant just to just relax. And that's actually helped us out a lot because sometimes we do have participants that are a little up there and they have their days. So I know like our caseworkers or even ourselves, when we interact with that person, we feel it. We need to step away because obviously if not, we are going to explode in a certain sense. So we do go to that point. And we even encourage like, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling good. I'm going to go to the common room. Other people can join in also if you want to. Like if I'm there and someone else wants to go with me and just to hang out and talk about anything else besides work, that's pretty much what we do. So the common room actually does help us out a lot. Team activities, if we all just feel like real out of it, we have like a painting session. We'll have a card game just to get, again, just to let the mind go free. And we found that very good to, again, just to de-stress anything that's creative, different. The calming room is pretty much what's helped us out overall to keep everyone at ease and everyone on the same page.
Thank you, Esteban. I've heard about this calming room in Laredo. I think that's a really cool idea and feature that you guys have. Well, we are at the hour. This was a really amazing discussion, and I appreciate all of you for joining, and thank you so much for sharing. I want to give kind of a final moment if anyone has anything they want to say or ask before we sign off. Speak now. Okay, well, I hope you all will join us next time. We're going to hold these on a rotating basis quarterly, so you'll get the information for when the next one is in the AOT Learning Network Bulletin. But thank you so much again for joining, and thank you, David, for kicking us off, and to everyone who shared. This was really awesome. And have a great day.
Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for your story, David.